but I always wait until the chat is all the way active.
Oh, I can't see the chats.
Yes, it's good to go now. Somebody is allegedly watching, which I mean that means that they get a notification. Did your phone just buzz for this stream?
Yep.
Cool. Neato. Um,
I told you, man, like I have to set notifications for myself.
yeah,
I
yeah.
don't remember. I always remember on Friday mornings as I'm driving to work. I'm like, oh, Thursday.
Yeah,
Yesterday was Thursday. And I was like, crap.
yeah.
Or I'll
Thursday.
remember Thursday morning and then something will happen Thursday
Hmm.
night and I'll just completely blow by the time and I'll be sitting there and I was like, something's happening tonight. And then I just can't remember what it is. And it just, yep.
Yep. Last Thursday was the first Thursday, or 2 Thursdays ago was the first Thursday in since we moved here in a year's time. Welcome. That I forgot to take the trash to the curb.
Mm.
Thursday's my day to take the trash to the curb because they come at like 6:30 a.m., 6:15 a.m., and it's like, yeah, intense. So I always just put it
that,
out on
that,
Thursday night.
yeah. I have like, so my trash comes on Wednesdays and I used Waste Management because they were by far the cheapest in the area. And so one day, like I went out there and I'm like, is there a holiday or something this week? Like trash didn't get taken. What the heck's going on?
Hmm.
So I call them up and they're like, yeah, you should have gotten a notice in the mail. Like we're going to be switching your trash service over to a different trash company or whatever because they're more local to your area and they've agreed to pick up all the customers from us in that area or whatever. You won't have to worry about anything. You won't have to worry about billing switching over. We'll take care of it all internally. You just keep paying us and we'll make sure your trash gets picked up. I was like, well, it didn't get picked up. And they're like, oh, okay, well, we'll send someone out to pick it up for you. It's like, okay, cool. So the next week it gets picked up. No worries. The week after that, no one picks it up. I'm like, maybe it was a one-off. I'll let it go. The next week, it doesn't get picked up.
Hmm.
I'm like, I know I've got 2 50-gallon bins here, guys, but like, I can't go too much longer here, or we're gonna have some major problems. So I called up the other company that they're supposed to be switching over to, and they're like, yeah, we don't have any record of you being on our route. I'm like, yeah, can we fix that?
Hmm.
Then they were like, yeah, sure. Just curiosity, what are you paying Waste Management? And I told them, and they're like, what is that, like per quarter? And I was like, no, that's what I pay them a month. They're like, oh, you're really gonna like going to us. It's about a quarter of that cost. And I was like, I'm glad I called you directly. And they're like, we'll have somebody out there tomorrow to get your trash. I was like,
Nice.
sweet. And then they
Cool.
didn't. So it was the
Uh,
following Wednesday when they finally got it again.
yay.
So,
All
but
right.
yeah, fun story. I know what it's like to go a couple weeks without having your trash picked up.
So speaking of taking out the trash and this title of publicity stunts, there's been some activities in the mainstream news that everybody likes to talk about. And by everybody, I mean lots of people. Obviously not everybody, but lots of
Are
people.
you talking about for a turn of a phrase here, dad joke, if you will, someone getting rocked at the Oscars?
That would be an example of a publicity stunt. Now, the interesting thing is it wasn't until a couple of days later that I was made aware of who that was a publicity stunt for. And if I were to hypothetically spell the word publicity with a PF, you might know what I'm referring to.
Hmm.
So there's a certain company who who sponsored the um, the Oscars, and
Say it ain't so.
you can see the company's name at the beginning. And it just so happened, and you can look this up on Google Trends. I think it's trends.google.com. Maybe I should go this way for everybody. Trends.google.com. Maybe I'll just do that. I'll just do that. Listen, I love I love backing myself up with truth trends. Google. I think that's the right website. It's the right website. And we're just going to type in a word that not a lot of people, um, I guess you can't see my screen, right?
Mm-mm.
Okay. Let me see how I might be able to do this because zoom this up like that. And then if I do share screen and click this thing right here, go live, that'll add there. Now I can share with you and the live stream at the same time. Good to go?
Yeah.
All right.
Yep. That'll
So
work.
this is the word. And
It just says watch stream on it. It doesn't actually have a
I think you have to
video.
click it, which means you might, um,
Oh, okay. There we go. Yep.
you see it now?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. All right. So the word is right here, Alopecia.
Yep.
Okay. And there's kind of like, a line. Here, let's compare it to, okay, let's compare it to warts. All right, so search term wise, warts has absolutely been more popular of a search term than alopecia.
Right.
What's another thing? Um, toe fungus. Toe fungus. Toe
Mm,
fungus actually is slightly less searched for than alopecia. So alopecia beats toe fungus, but warts beats alopecia.
right.
Um, what's another fairly expected to be uncommon search term?
Hmm. Expected to be uncommon. Well, I would say something like periocarditis or something like that is
Ooh,
probably not.
that's a good word. I think I misspelled it. Yeah, I did misspell it. Is it
I think
pero?
it corrected it for you though.
No. Um, Here, we'll just click it here. Per Pericarditis. There's no O.
Pericarditis. Okay.
Pericarditis. All right. So pericarditis, yellow. Ooh, amazing. Apparently nobody
It's
knows how to
actually
spell
really
it.
low.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It is less than one, less than one, less than one. So I mean, look, and this is the past 12 months, right? Let me
Yeah.
do even past 5 years. All right. Warts is the winner. And yeah, pericarditis is the loser out of those three. So yeah, good stuff. Um, Enlarged heart. We'll just do that search term. It's still the loser. Yep. So alopecia beats enlarged heart and pericarditis, and even the other one, toe fungus, right? So that's
Mm-hmm.
fascinating. But more importantly, let me just zoom into the past 90 days. All right, maybe even past 30 days. How about that? There we go. That kind of helped spread out the chart a little bit. This blue line is the line that represents alopecia, and there was an event that took place. What day is this? March 27. How about that? So on March 27th, all of a sudden, a massive spike between March 27th and March 28th to an extremely popular search term. Now let's think of an extremely popular search term. Let's let's compare crypto. Just type in crypto. That's not extremely popular, but it's popular. Okay, in comparison,
Yeah.
alopecia spiked way past. Oh, I know a good search term. Ukraine. Let's see how. Oh, okay.
It's actually been trending down, so
It's been trending down. Interesting.
but it's been very, very highly searched.
It certainly has. Out of the four comparative words, um, Ukraine on March 8th was absolutely the highest out of those four. But on March 27th to March 28th, alopecia was by far, uh, well, nearly
The
twice,
most searched out of the
yeah,
four.
nearly twice as searched for as Ukraine. Okay,
Hmm.
so here's my point. There was a specific company. Hey, servant, what's up? Hey, Lacey May, 33, welcome. Um, Here's what's really fascinating. Let me pull up another website. I think I'll be just a I'm going to scoot this over to the side, and then I'm going to. You can still see me. I just, for the sake of the live stream, I'm scrolling
Yeah.
through the Discord server here. All right, here's the website. Copy link, and then we'll open it up over here. So it just so happens. Let me click this here. I'm going to move this over. It just so happens that this company, at the same time, well, starting August of 2021, that um, is the first company to produce a um, treatment for alopecia, an issue, a autoimmune AIDS. Excuse me, I had to cough there. Um, an autoimmune disorder. This is the first company to develop a treatment for it. This company sponsored the um, the
A
Oscars.
TV show?
The
Yeah, a TV show.
Oscars caused almost almost everyone to search for the word alopecia, um, and learn about that. And yeah, how about that? Now you would have to be you would have to be a conspiracy theorist to actually believe that this was contrived and that they did this on purpose. You would absolutely have to be a conspiracy theorist to believe something like
That's
that.
just plain nonsense. It's just a coincidence.
It is a co-inciting thing. I don't know if inciting is proper. Coinciding? Coinciding? Is that proper?
It likes asynchronous better.
Con concide
Concise.
cons coinc sorry coincident coinciding. How is coinciding not a word? I thought coinciding is a word. Is
Coincidental?
coinciding. Tell me this is a word. Coinciding. Coinciding. Merriam-Webster.
Oh, there it is. It is. It was
Co
the third one down. Yeah.
yeah. Coinciding is a word. I wasn't a crazy person. Yay.
I mean, you might be a crazy person, but it is a word.
Yeah, not on that account, my good friend. Um, these things coincided. Well, I mean, come on. They released this article, this news release on August of 2021, and it wasn't until March of 2022 that they merely a coincidence that they sponsored the show, merely a coincidence that it caused everybody to look up alopecia. It's just a coincidence. And maybe it is. I reserve that minuscule possibility.
But like, I mean, No one's ever been slapped at the Oscars before, and no one's ever made fun of someone's wife at the Oscars before, especially not someone's wife who has alopecia, in which the sponsoring company of the Oscars just so happens to have the treatment for that specific thing. I mean, those events are just random acts.
Yeah, kind of like, complicated rocks, uh, developing into human beings. Kind of like that kind of
Yeah.
coincidence.
Lightning strikes a puddle. Boom, there you go. Sue to you by way of the goo. So
That's the thing. Um, but yes, welcome, Lacey May. I'm unfamiliar with your screen name. I don't know if I know you. I see the number 33, which could only mean one thing. I
and that
kid.
is that you are an Illuminati spy here to
I kid.
spy on us or the Rothschilds family, since we've mentioned them
Yeah.
twice.
Well, but that was before the stream. We were talking about the Rockefellers, and which I discussed last. Well, actually, I didn't really
I'm
discuss it.
sorry.
I
I
was,
said the Rothschilds. Now we have even more attention.
uh-huh,
My bad.
gotta trigger the algorithms. All right.
Bad gummit. My bad. My
So
bad. I don't have anything against you, Rothschilds. We're after the Rockefellers. My
just
bad.
she says just random. The 33 is random. Nothing to see here, folks. I'll take your word for it. I will take your word for it.
Coincidence.
There's this
Coincidence.
there's this really beautiful saying that I got to be reminded of from my loving wife, and it is, to the pure, all things are pure. So every now and then I'll see numbers in people's screen names, and I'll be like, oh my gosh, this person is a deviant. This person is a sicko. Not the number 33. That's not the number I'm referring to. I'm referring to um, and
Crazy people with numbers like 1, 2, 3. Like, what are you even doing?
yeah, there you go. But no other numbers. Um, but anyway, 2 times 3 and 3 times 3. Those two numbers. Um, I usually think that somebody is signaling and not keeping it kosher, so to speak. But it just
Yeah.
so happens that that could be the year that they, hypothetically, it could be the year they graduated from high school. It could be the
The
year
year they
that they
were
were born.
born.
It could mean a lot of other things besides insidious Sodom and Gomorrah related activities. Um, Now, when I see 420, and I think you're a peculiar, not a peculiar person. It's so common. Um, you're an ignorant
You're just a
person.
person that really likes to enjoy life.
Well, here's the thing. I go, you
You
know,
like your white blood cell count being very high.
you know not what you do, is what I think. You forgive them. They know not what they do. They think that they're just lifting up and celebrating a mind altering substance. That's what they think that they're communicating. Lo and behold, they're actually celebrating the birthday of Hitler. I mean,
Oh,
they just don't understand how these things are related and how awkward that is. Um, could be the year Jesus died. Yes. Um, all right. Another publicity stunt that I'm really curious about is this one that centers around this transvestite comedian who happens
I've
to
not heard of this.
no.
Mm-mm.
Okay.
I
Well.
mean, to be fair, I don't hear a lot of mainstream news.
Okay.
The only reason I heard about the whole getting rocked at the Oscars thing was because of work. Like, I didn't know about it other than that. Like, I
Mm,
wouldn't have cared because I don't watch the Oscars and I don't care
okay.
about rich people and their problems most of the time. So,
So this guy's rich. Don't get me wrong. Don't get me wrong. He's had dealings with the president of the United States, possibly other family members of the president of the United States. He happens to be the president of a country. Um, this transvestite comedian. Um, it's a peculiar situation that this person has been lifted up into the public eye and then bowed down to, and worshipped by the masses and lifted up in prayer,
Mm.
not for the prayer of repentance, not for turning away from sin, not for any of that, but for to bless them. Um, so I highly recommend checking out a dude on Odyssey, which I wish I could find out how to connect my restream to Odyssey, because that'd be pretty neat. It's a really nice platform. Um,
I'd like to go back to seeing your face now. I don't know how I do that.
so if you click on the the Discord list, you should be able to find my name, or there might be a symbol in the upper some corner of the video box. Maybe there's a if you tap it, you might find a symbol to hit like a. I could just stop this screen share. Here, we'll stop the screen. Stop streaming. There we go. You should be able to see me now. Is that better?
I maybe hold on. I'm still trying to cricket noise. That yep. There we go. I
Yep.
figured it out.
Cool, cool, cool. I discontinued the screen share, so
I
about
have through process of elimination figured out which comedian you're speaking of.
yes.
Um,
So this comedian is a leader of a nation, and it's a strange situation. I would suggest
I've become
people.
less and less interested in it every day.
Oh yeah, I just I just wanted to talk about it anyway. Like, as much as these topics are a bore, I I find it important to show the people that may not be aware, all the people that may stumble across this silly little channel of mine, to make sure that they're aware of the big picture, of all the context, and when they hear me say transvestite comedian, they go, "What is he talking about?" And then when I say Mr. Blue and Yellow himself, they go, "I think I know who he's talking about." And I mentioned Hugo Talks, which demonstrates the connection between the blue and yellow campaign that lasted for about 24 months. There was a blue and yellow campaign. It's very evident if you look up Hugo Talks, um, which is on YouTube, but he's also on Odyssey. And he does a video where he demonstrates probably 1,000 different images showing blue and yellow next to each other, associated with I'm trying to decide whether or not I'm going to say the words. Yeah, associated with COVID-19 official documentation. The colors blue and yellow, possibly over 1,000 images of different posters, different backgrounds, different occasions where blue and yellow were incorporated together. And yet another coincidence, transition official COVID-19 documentation and publications, banners, signs, blue and yellow, transitioning to a new blue and yellow focus. Why blue and yellow? Why Blockbuster? The movie company that Zoomers don't know what that is.
I
But
knew exactly where you went with that. It didn't take me long. Uh,
so in advertising, blue and yellow is a good color combination. It's the contrast of the two colors is supposed to grab your attention. There's there's psychological techniques to choosing those colors. Now, with that said, okay, thank you. With that said,
What was the thank you in response to?
Uh, Following you now on Odyssey, somebody was saying.
Oh, okay,
I
cool.
don't live stream on Odyssey. I do have an account there, but if I find out how to, I will because I think it's a good platform. I'm
Well,
not saying,
I could say one thing about this comedian world leader. At
yeah,
least he's not a potato.
mm,
Or
you
is
know what?
being a potato better?
Yeah, I like potatoes better than I like transvestite comedians, who are doing Sodom and Gomorrah dances. Um, yeah, I'd rather have a potato than a Sodom and Gomorrah transvestite comedian. Here,
I thought about it after I said it. And I don't really like a potato either, but like I like a potato better than that.
all right, Celsky dance. I mean, all you really have to do. Where is it? He's okay here. So okay, I got to share my screen again so that you can, because you might not have looked this up yet.
Mostly because I didn't care, but whatever.
All right, I'm just going to hover over this so that you can see what I'm referring to.
Yeah, that doesn't seem like something I'd ever want to watch.
It's not what I want to click on. I'm not going to click on it. The 3 second GIF like imagery of of this thing.
Yep, seems like the type of stuff that I wouldn't in a million years want anything to do with.
Yeah, yeah. Let me see if I can click filters. You know what? The filters on YouTube don't work very well because I think they break the algorithm that's always trying to override what you're looking for. And when you apply the filters, it just breaks the whole thing and won't search. Um, Upload date. Yeah, you can't look for oldest video. You click upload date and it does, you'd have to scroll and scroll and scroll. Um, and I'd have to go back like, I don't know how long it would take. But I don't know if this is the only example of him just being a deviant. Um,
It's a shame ritual, I'm sure.
uh, 15 years. Oh, okay. So I got to the bottom. Excuse me. What's the dude's first name? I can't even remember.
Volodymyr.
Oh, literally the same name as the other guy. That's really weird.
No, 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 not Vladimir. It's Volodymyr. It's different. Sometimes
um,
I can't keep a straight face with this guy.
what's one of those? All of a sudden, I'm drawing a blank on one of the names. Oh yeah, yeah, not Stephen with a V, Stephen with a PH. Completely
Exactly.
different name.
It's a different name, means different things. Come
Yeah,
on.
completely different name.
Absolute ridiculousness. How dare you?
All right, so they memory hold the video. Like you can only see recently uploaded in the last 30 days. That happened. I actually do not know how long ago it was. But,
You know what, Devin? It's not even him. It's just another guy that
oh,
looks
yeah,
like
yeah.
him.
We'll just,
That,
we'll just
I mean,
Mandela effect him out of existence. How about that? We'll just say that, he never even was a
I'm
comedian.
fine with that. Like, he died in Kiev 17 years ago or something. Like, whatever.
That's not even the president of, that's not even the president of the Ukraine. Um,
He's just a weird dancer. Like,
Random fact, I was complimented on my pronunciation of Russian today, which
really?
which I can't necessarily brag about. I think it's merely a fluke that a Russian person would compliment me on my Russian pronunciation, but I have practiced a little bit in private. But yeah.
Are you
Anyway,
learning? Are you learning to speak Russian because you're worried that our new overlords are going to be the Russians?
no, no. I think it'd be more likely that we'd get taken over by the Laotians than uh, than the Russians. But that's just that's just my wild speculation. Um, is the
You'll have to forgive me. I'm not sure what a Laotian is.
Laos, Laos, the country Laos in Southeast Asia? That's
I would say that that's probably. eh,
that's an absurd claim, but I'm gonna
Well,
stick with it.
is it though? Is it absurd? I mean, one could argue that they've already one third taken over us. So
The Laotians?
yeah, some part of the same country.
Oh, the other people, the North,
Yes.
the the hyper North Laotians.
No, Devin, you're misunderstanding. It's one China. Okay, there is no separate parts of China. Like it's all China.
Oh, so
Like you don't get to be a separate country.
does that make Russia also China?
Yes, it's all
Okay,
China. In
so
China's eyes, anyway.
so
In
what we're
China's eyes,
saying,
Russia is definitely part of China.
so what we're saying is everything east of the um what Balkan, Balkan, everything east of the Balkans are is just Tartaria, and China is just
Yep,
pretending to not be Tartaria, but really Tartaria never went anywhere. Is that what you're saying?
yep.
All right, cool.
It's all just China.
That checks out. Um, Maps.google. This is gonna be ay, 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 way over here. Yeah, the Balkans, like
Oh man, I appreciate so much that God loves sarcasm.
quite a statement. But yeah, imagine that. Imagine that Russia, Belarus, Ukraine, Turkey, Syria, Israel, Saudi Arabia, Yemen, Iraq, and everything east was actually all in the same category. Well, they are. It's called Asia. Yeah, but what if they were what if they were actually connected in a more cohesive way besides just the continent? Hmm.
Oh, you mean like a big giant wasteland after nuclear war?
I was told that most of China was not arable. It doesn't.
I would believe that.
That doesn't. I mean, half
There's a lot of mountains.
there is, but here. Let me click satellite. When I look, I don't know how accurate all this is because you never know, but I don't know. I don't know. There's a lot of desert, I guess. I'd be interested to learn about the desert regions of China. So the
Well, there's
Xinjiang.
one way you can. You can go to China.
Ooh, I'm not that interested.
But
The
then
north.
how will you ever know if what you learn is accurate or not?
Yeah, I mean, I agree. The northwest region of China is so just east of Kyrgyzstan, just south of Mongolia, just southeast of Kazakhstan. That region of China, the Xinjiang region, and Tibet. Oh, Tibet is just south of that. Okay, well that makes sense.
Once in Tibet.
Hmm. What is there? The breatharians, apparently. Serve it. No, you spelled it right. Sadaloon. servant asked me to pull up the Saddaloon imagery, which I did. I did this. Um, yeah, I just had popcorn before the stream, so I'm like grabbing my toothpick device and trying to assist my teeth into.
Is it a device or is it an actual toothpick?
Well, it's a what defines a device? Let's look up
You
the word
said it.
device.
I'm trying to clarify
Device.
for my own mental state.
Intent does. Oh my gosh, the etymology of words sometimes really will throw you off.
English is a dumb language. English is a dumb language.
Division,
And by I say that because even saying that it's a dumb language is using the word dumb wrong. So
representation of some object, or so device was not the best choice of words.
it's just a toothpick, right?
Yeah, plastic one though. That's why I call it a device because it has the flosser on it and the toothpick.
Hmm.
Yeah,
So I suppose it could be considered a device because it's representative of a toothpick. It's not an actual toothpick.
true, true, exactly. That's kind of why I went with that word. Um,
I just
publicity
wanted to get
stunts.
into the I just wanted to get into the etymological roots of the word device. That's all.
Yes. Hey, do you have any publicity stunts that come to mind?
Me?
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, too many to mention. Let me think. What's a good one recently? Oh, yeah, like the whole Tiger Woods being back in golf thing. Like that's another
Yep.
media distraction that no one cares about.
I didn't know anything about it. It looks like on April 5th, 2 days ago, Tiger Woods spiked in the search trend, but it also spiked on March 10th. Let me look at the
Hmm.
90-day. Tiger Woods. Let me look at the 90-day chart. Yep. So March 10th, and then again on April 5th, Tiger Woods showed up as spiking in the Google searches. Thank you for the resource on the Odyssey going live. Appreciate that.
Oh, I'm sure Elon Musk is going nuts right now because he just bought like a billion stock or 2.4 billion dollars
Thank
worth of
you.
Twitter stock.
Thank you for
There you
mentioning
go.
that. I have intel that I received. Um, I'm part of a text alert network where we get these interesting text messages with intel. Um, and yesterday at 7:19 p.m. or 1919 hours, Putin calls Elon Musk a Trojan horse after engineers at Russia's Almaz-Antey Defense Corps dissected captured electronic equipment and determined circuitry was proprietary technology belonging to none other than SpaceX.
Then to who?
SpaceX.
No, makes sense. Yeah.
So, also that Elon Musk openly supports Zelensky, even after being informed about the guy that is called president, this place called Biolabs, and the child trafficking ring, of which most people don't even believe happens or exists, and certainly not in
What, the child
relationship.
trafficking?
What's that?
You said that people don't believe that child trafficking even exists,
There are
or that
pe-
the ring exists.
yeah, there are people that are so head in the sand that they think that child trafficking is something that only happens every so often and typically gets handled. They don't Okay, so I'll give an. I think
I'm just wondering, like, in what universe does that surprise anyone that
I've got
people
an
are so
analogy.
dumb that they
I've
huh?
got an analogy.
Okay.
Most people, I think, I think, I think almost everyone knows that human beings across this grand, beautiful earth are buying marijuana
Sure.
all over the place on every continent except maybe Antarctica. I don't know, but maybe even Antarctica. They might even have marijuana in Antarctica. I,
Sure.
I wouldn't know, but definitely in all of the other places, apart from possibly the Sentinel Islands, the islanders that live in the Sentinelese Islands, they might not have marijuana, but they might be the only
Sure.
ones. Everybody else has it. So this metaphor here, I can't say that I know which is more popular, um, marijuana consumption or access to um, child trafficking and sex slavery and sex trafficking. But I would suggest that it's an appropriate comparison in regards to it happens, but you don't see it
Okay.
unless you're in it.
Yeah.
Uh,
But here's the key thing.
yeah, yeah.
I also believe that at least 40% of the people who assume that that's going on are so ignorant that they wouldn't know what it looked like if they saw it happening in front of them. With
You got
either
an
scenario.
example? Got an example?
Okay, so there are some incredibly naive and sheltered individuals in our world. Um, that someone would probably try to sell them drugs and they wouldn't even know what was happening
Okay.
because they just don't live in that world. They've never been exposed to it and they don't care. Like they're oblivious to the fact that it even happens. So in the same vein, when they're like, how could something as horribly awful as that be taking place right under our nose and no one would notice? It's like, yeah, you just watched a drug deal go down 2 minutes ago right outside your house and you had no idea what was going on.
Hmm.
Like, you're oblivious to the world around you. Not only that, but there are people that assume that every other person in the world wants the world to be peaceful and awesome just because they do.
Hmm.
Like they're like, that's horrifying. No one would ever do that. That's just absolute nonsense. Like I refuse to believe that people are that bad because they do have their head buried in the sand. Like they just don't want to believe that that kind of atrocity happens. They're the same type of people that can't functionally process what happens in war. Like they just don't understand. They're like, well, why would they be targeting civilian buildings? It's like, they do you not know what war is? Like sometimes things don't go according to plan. Like besides the fact that like in the fog of war, who's to say that it's not them bombing their own stuff? Like of course they're going to blame it on whoever the other side is because they don't want to look bad to their own people, but in reality, half the time it's your own bombs that blow your stuff up. But you don't report it that way because it doesn't make sense to. Like these like people will believe whatever you tell them to believe. Like they just don't want to see the world for what it is and they've been told that it's not that way, so they're more than happy to believe it. Like I would imagine that 40% of the world or more lives their life in that bubble
Yeah.
because they're sheep. It just is what it is.
I don't
And I
understand what.
don't I don't say that I don't say that as a cop out, but some people you're just never going to convince because they don't have the mental capacity to see it for what it is.
So I had a scammer slash spammer on Twitch, and I'm trying to ban them, but by default I don't have moderator. I'm logged into my own account, and I don't even have moderation abilities. By you have to like go.
A bot has taken over you.
Yeah, I don't know what in the world, but I'm gonna figure it
I
out.
will I will return momentarily, Devin. So bot away, and all the various implications, puns that means. I will
Okay.
I'll be right back.
Yeah. All right. Block done. I guess I do. I just didn't know what I don't use Twitch enough to Hey, what's up? What's up, C? Welcome. I'm glad you're here. Um. All right. Block. All right. Did I? Okay. I did block them. Now I need to report. Spam, malicious links. Attempts to scam other community members. Sure. Could I provide? No, just it's a spammer. I don't have more details. The topic of the evening um, is simply publicity stunts that are taking place and how, you know, just let us all be on the same page, basically. I want us to all be on the same page. Gospel Bearer is the one in the shadows. Oh, yes. You like my blur effect? It's a blur party. I saw you were streaming on Twitch via Discord. Yeah, well, I'm glad you did. Thanks. Um, all right. So I have successfully blocked the person who was spamming. Um, don't click on links that people put on. No, Level Up did a link that's a little different. I agree wholeheartedly that there's just so many people that don't know how to identify child trafficking, for instance, and
Well, and my whole thing on hmm, the
yeah.
whole situation that's going on over there right now. Everything that's happening there right now looks completely different if you start the clock in 2022. Like, if you start the clock back in 1995,
Okay.
the situation looks completely different.
What do you
Like,
mean by
and I'm
start the
not
clock?
saying
I,
what.
I think I know what you mean, but what do you mean? Can you clarify what you
If you
mean?
start the timeline of events, right? Of what has led to the situation being what it is currently.
Okay.
Um, if you start the clock in 1991 versus 2022, the events that lead up to what happened look completely different. There were agreements made, there were pacts made, there were lines drawn, there were things that happened. And while I'm not defending anyone in the scenario's actions, a lot of promises have been broken between a lot of parties in the agreements that happened throughout that time. Um, and the situation just looks very different if you start the clock back then. And this is something I had to explain to the guys at work. I'm not saying that either party is in the right for doing what they've done,
I'm
right?
sorry to be
However,
laughing right in the middle of your thing. Go on,
go
and
and
then
say
I'll
something.
I'll I'll follow up and tell you why I laughed. Go ahead.
Okay, but and I was almost done saying what I was done saying, anyways. But it's just the situation from a militaristic aspect looks very different depending on when you start the timeline. So that just is what it is. I don't have a dog in the fight one way or another. All I'm glad is that I'm not getting drug into another fight that I have no stock in one way or another. So being a
Yeah.
militaristic person myself, Um, I don't like fighting other people's wars because we don't keep what we win anymore. So there's no point in the bloodshed.
We don't keep
So,
what we win anymore. You know, that's a really fascinating idea. I haven't heard that phrase in context, but that's a fascinating idea. When when is the last time someone fought to conquer and kept?
mhm. I'll tell you when.
No, yeah, go
It's
ahead because I can't. I know that there's been
the only country
boundary
doing it anymore,
shiftings,
and
but go ahead. I don't know the answer to that question.
I'll tell you on a world stage, the last time it happened is when Russia invaded Ukraine the first.
Did they get a little bit of land?
Yeah, they took Crimea.
Crimea, okay.
And that's why they're going after Donbass and the other region. I
Donbass.
don't remember.
Did you know?
Um,
You probably have more to say. Go ahead, and then I'll address some of the things.
so like them and China are aggressively seizing land. Like they're aggressively expanding. Um, they have to do it in a very different way than old school warfare, where you just were like, you know what, mine.
Yeah,
You can't defend yourself. I'm taking it. Like so, they're doing it in a very sly political takeover of things. But I mean, they're doing it nonetheless. But um, land expansion doesn't take place except by a couple other global superpowers. Well, one could argue that they're not really one of the two, anyways. It's not much of a superpower, given the fact that they're getting absolutely crushed by a country that's minutely their size, but also is being fed from the rest of the world with stuff. So it is what it is. Um, but yeah, they're the country that's annexing territory and saying, no, we took this, it's ours now. Like on the world stage, but previous to that, the only countries that do it are Middle Eastern countries.
I feel like there's a lot of border wars and territory wars in Africa as well, though.
They're more tribal. It's not much. It's not so much over territory as it is tribal infractions.
Yeah, and
Because they actually don't care so much for the territory. They have their territory that they have, and they've already staked their claim on it.
you know
It's more the hatred of the people inhabiting the other regions.
what's so weird is you hear almost nothing about South America countries fighting each other.
Culture.
Tranquilo, like just they're just chill.
Well, they view relation to each other and the familiar like familia like they view other cultures as there's a more family aspect to South American culture.
Yeah, isn't that weird?
And it's not
When you
so
think
it's
of the
internal struggle,
yeah, I know that there's like the guerrilla warfare, the weird things that go on, the drugs,
but
the
it's not territorial
gangs.
war. It's top down political war
Yeah,
because
interesting.
mostly South American countries just want to exist. They're not interested
Yeah,
in they just want to do their thing. They want to get
the
up and
age of the
have a job and live.
conquistador is long gone. All right, Donbass.
Well, and like if you think about it from a standpoint of that too, like way back in the day, um, the South American people weren't warfare tribes. They were agriculture and building and like there wasn't warfare until the Spanish came there and started basically pitting them against one another. So
Okay,
it's interesting.
so the Donbass region or people or whatever, I heard about this, and I heard some very interesting details that this group of people in this specific region, for somehow, some way, for the last handful of years, I don't remember the number of years, but years, plural, they had their main water source cut off.
Hmm.
So you're already familiar with this?
Oh yeah.
Okay, this was news to me. And and supposedly a certain country, the big one to the northeast, that country and its leader came in, and one of the very first things they did was break this dam, which brought water back to that land.
Hmm.
And from like that doesn't seem to be getting talked about at all.
No, and it wouldn't be. Um, and the history of the region is that they basically have been wanting to be an independent state for a long time.
That's what I heard. I heard that they are in a region.
The Luhansk and Donbass regions have had their own. They've wanted to have their own independence for a while and to be recognized as independent states.
I heard
They
that they,
don't mind, for lack of a better term, swearing fealty to Ukraine, but they want to govern themselves.
but I also heard that they wanted to have liturgy in Russian and not Ukrainian.
Yes.
Um, and that they
Now,
were
whether that's because Russia has been seeding people in those
okay.
regions
Well,
or not, it
yeah,
remains to be seen.
that's
So, and
that's a
like, there's
yeah.
two sides to every story, and I refuse to take a side in either one of them because Russia has made it known that they're slowly annexing territory. So, like,
Yeah. So
I don't take
that's a
Putin to
good
be
thing.
a liar. Like, he's a lot of things, but he's not a liar.
What are the
When he
chances?
says he's going to do something, he does it generally.
Okay, so there's two different questions I have on this topic. What are the chances? And then the follow-up question is, how would you prove it to be true? Which is probably the more difficult question to answer. What are the chances that Putin actually did convert to Eastern Orthodoxy or Russian Orthodoxy? Um, I think 2 years ago is the claim. And then how would you go about validating that that happened to some degree? Not is, how to find out if he's saved or anything like that, because, it's a different story altogether. But, this is the rumor. Any ideas?
Hmm.
Or have you heard
Well, I'd
this
have to hear
rumor
it
that,
from his mouth.
what's that?
I'd have to hear it from his mouth
Okay, gotcha. Yeah, no, that would be a
because
good
that's how you would know anyone is that they testify with their mouth.
good point. Good point. So I looked up the search terms New World Order and Agenda 21. And New World Order is the winner in regards to popularity overall. But Agenda 21 had a spike, and I'm sharing the screen just in case you want to look. It had a massive spike in a really interesting month of a really interesting year, March 2020.
Go figure. What are the odds?
I don't know why people were looking up Agenda 21 in March of 2020, but they sure were a lot. And these trends, these trends of how people look something up and then it just falls right back to where it was. That is,
It's a phenomenon.
it is a phenomenon, and it,
Phenomena. Phenomena. Wouldn't phenomenon be plural?
uh, I no, I think on is the singular actually, and I think
Phenomena would be the
is
plural.
the plural. I believe so because Latin
Well,
is
it would be phenomena then that these things keep happening.
yes. How it's not quite symmetrical, it tapers off, but quite quickly, quite quickly, and And it's sad to me to think that people are only interested in such, yeah, phenomenon is singular, thank you. Um, People lose interest and have an attention span that's so minimum. Think
But it
about it.
could be said, and this is the other part of it that's not necessarily reflected in that data.
Okay,
Once someone looks it up, they already have the knowledge. They don't really need to look it up again. So overall awareness of something goes way up, but like
correct.
the interest of it may go down, but the overall knowledge of the thing went up because so many people looked at it in such a short amount of time. So if you figure that those people talked to someone about it and then that person went and looked it up and then like through word of mouth the knowledge actually spread a lot during that time, there's not so much of a need to go back and look it up again. And if they did, it would be by onesie twosies, not all at once. So it's not indicative of overall knowledge of a subject.
Yeah,
It just means that the knowledge of that subject was increased all at one time.
there. Where is that? Trying to think where I have this document. I have I have so many folders. I'm just trying to think about where I have. I saved the document. I think it was 91 because you were talking about different years if you were to go back and kind of analyze the years. And I think that the council for Agenda 21 took place, which it took place in Brazil, speaking of South America. I believe it was 1991, but I can't remember.
Wasn't that also a year that the United Nations, or not United Nations, but NATO was formed?
NATO. Good question. Sustainabledevelopment.un.org, 2030. I'm going to type in 1991 because I think it was 91. It might have been 92, but I think it was 91. Yeah, it was. It was 1991. Um, the local agenda 21 planning guide 21 referring to 21st century. Um, oh no. In June of 1992, the United Nations Conference on Environment and Development adopted Agenda 21, the global action plan for sustainable development. And sustainable development, so the word sustainable, the word smart, there's a handful of these different words that are co opted for the purposes of this agenda. So it was June of 92, not 1991. It was June of 92 where this meeting took place. And then Agenda 2030, the the reiteration or the 2.0 of Agenda 21 took place. When
Because
did
they realized that Agenda 21 was never going to happen in the timeline they wanted to happen.
Agenda 2030, when did that meeting take place? That's what I want to know.
Probably in 2021 when they realized that 2021 agenda wasn't.
No, it was before 2021.
No, that was more of a joke. That was more of a joke.
Um,
Because God laughs at man's plans. I don't know. Just it's funny to me.
true that. True that. Let's see what
Which
this
is why
is.
people are like, "Have you heard?" And I'm like, "Yeah, but my God is bigger. I'm not worried about it."
Oh, here we go. Here we go. This is the answer. At coe.int, whatever that website is, the Council of Europe, uh, um, Agenda 2030 for Sustainable Development was launched by a UN summit in New York on the 25th through the 27th of September 2015.
Ah,
2015.
that's when they realized that 6 years wasn't enough time.
So that was at the end of the presidency of Obama.
Barack Obama.
A world of universal respect for human rights and human dignity, the rule of law, justice, equality, and non-discrimination. It is grounded in the Universal Declaration of Human Rights or on Human Rights and international human rights treaties and emphasizes the responsibilities of all states to respect, protect, and promote human rights.
Sounds like a bunch of fancy gobbledygook, but it's all a bunch of nonsense.
Well, here's the goals: no poverty, good health and well-being, quality education, gender equality, decent work, economic growth, sustainable cities, communities, climate action, oceans, seas, and marine resources.
You want to know something though?
Yeah, yeah,
Every single one of those is so ambiguous.
yeah.
It's so open-ended. Like
Except for the gender equality one, that can
even
only
that's open-ended because then they can just redefine what gender is, and then it becomes ambiguous.
well, gender equality results in there is no gender. That's ultimately what it will result in. Life on land, peace, justice, and strong institutions, and then global partnership for sustainable development.
Yeah, like I said, it's all ambiguous. They can in 2030, let's just say in 2030, right? They go, yeah, we've done all this stuff.
Yeah,
Yeah, but
yeah.
define what you did with
You're
it. You know
right.
what, like, because it's all ambiguous. Oh, we protected marine life. Yeah, but 4 species of marine life went extinct during that time. Yeah, but we protected the rest of it. It's just a way to move money around under the guise of
Under the guise of what? It broke up.
doing something. Like you're affecting the climate, or you're saving the marine life, or you're protecting gender equality. It's just a way to move money around because you're going after these goals and purposes to end poverty by creating homelessness.
Somebody wants me
But we're
to.
giving the people that aren't homeless a better quality of life. So therefore, they're not. I mean, we're tackling the poverty problem. Well, what are we going to do with all those homeless people? Yeah, tell them to go home.
Hmm. Somebody wanted me to
I
look
mean,
up Klaus Schwab.
oh yeah,
Klaus Schwab spiked in November of 2020, spiked again in January of 2022, and again February and March of 2022. He had a little bit of a spike in January of 2018, Klaus Schwab, and
isn't he the guy that runs Deutsche Bank?
possibly. I, I I don't really know much about these different characters, whether it's George Soros or Klaus Schwab. I just hear their names, understand what they're associated with, and basically want to stay as far away as possible. Basically.
Yep.
And Deutsche, is there an S in there? Bank. I probably misspelled that. I don't know. Um, he's the founder of the World Economic Forum,
Oh, okay.
Klaus Schwab. Engineer and economist. Sorry.
Yeah, that's a degree in theoretical math,
um, yeah.
and theoretical math is about as useless as modern day science. So
Yeah, people need to be reminded that math is not reality. Math is meant to describe reality as opposed to being reality itself. Oh, so
anybody that watched the show Numbers would know that because he makes that statement several hundred times in that show.
It
He's like
wasn't the
the
movie.
the brother who's the cop and solving cases or whatever will be like, well, the math proves that it'll work, right? He's like, that's not the way math is. Math is theoretical. Like the math says that it's possible, but in reality, it may not work out that way because the equation could be different.
All
Like
right,
it just because I can make it mathematically work doesn't make it reality.
what in the world? All right, so I looked up Noahide laws and Agenda 2030.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and at the top of the website, it has this very weird thing. It says, by the grace of G-D, www.noahide.org, Institute of the Noahide Code. And then it shows a globe with with like almost like a compass. I'm screen sharing so you can see it too if you want to, but GD at the top, and then ONE,
Mm-hmm.
which to me, spells the word one, um, one God. But anyway, the my point is Agenda 2030 is correlated to Agenda 2030. So there's a lot of people that are like, they poo-poo the Noahide laws. They're like, whatever. That's irrelevant. It's not a big deal. It's not really a thing. There's all evidence to the contrary that it is a thing, and it is associated with the other things. So,
But I guess that would go back to whether you think the other things are actually gonna happen. I don't know. Like I don't know how
you
to.
mean Agenda 2030 in the first place?
Yeah.
You and you are familiar with the Noahide laws. We've talked about them before,
Oh
right?
yeah.
Right.
Oh
Okay.
yeah. Yeah.
Um,
But I also understand that men, like I said before, like men can have their plans and God wrecks them. So like I don't I'm
true, true, true.
like they could have this whole like, oh yeah, Agenda 2030, that's when we're gonna take over and rule the world and we're gonna be the master race with all these Noahide laws and every other country gonna bow down to us. And then God's like, yeah, that's not gonna happen. And he has Russia nuke half the world. Like I I mean, I'm not saying that I'm for that plan, but God does what he wants. Like, and when men build their most structured plans is when God laughs and it all falls apart because they're men and they're not following what God wants to happen. So like I I just have a problem getting wrapped up in any of the fear mongering that some people like to take part in. And
Hmm.
it's like, oh yeah, but this thing and it's gonna happen. I'm like, yeah, but I mean, do I trust God or don't I?
Yep,
Like like
absolutely.
that could be happening and I'll be fine because God says, do what I told you to do and you're gonna be fine. I don't really care what the world's plans are because God told me to do something and it's my job to do that thing. And the rest of man's plans be damned. Like it doesn't matter what they want to do. God will prevail and whatever he says is going to happen is what's going to happen. Like
Hmm.
if he tells me to march to Washington D.C. and tell Joe Biden he's going to die in 3 that's what I'm going to do. And I hope that's not what he tells me to do because I don't want to deliver that message to any man on this earth. But if he tells me to march to the White House and stand on the front lawn and yell at them until he does, I guess that's what I'm going to do because that's what he told me to do. Like, I don't get to be the deciding factor in these things. I live through obedience. That's what my call is to do, and
which,
to live at peace with men as much as possible.
as much as possible. Yep, for sure. Um,
And that's why people are like, well, why don't you do this? Or like the far right side will be like, well, you're clearly conservative. Why don't you believe these things? And I'm like, because that's not what I'm called to believe. Like, and then the far left is like, well, you're clearly a conservative because that's not what I'm called to believe. It's like, well, you're not like anybody I've ever met. Like, well, that's because I actually practice what I preach. Like,
yeah,
I try. I won't say that I'm not a hypocrite, but I try not to be a hypocrite. Like, Scripture says to do something, and I do it. Like, I don't know what to say. I'm going to look a lot different than a lot of people you're going to meet because I actually read it and do what it says. And a lot of people don't. They listen to someone else read it and do what they say. So it's
yep.
just not the way I want to filter my life. So is it still pretty bright there?
It is still pretty bright. So during the winter, we have like 8.5 hours of sunlight, and during the summer, it can be as little as 10:30, 5:30, 7 hours, 7.5 hours of darkness. So it gets
Oh
kind of,
wow.
yeah, it gets kind of
So it's really
extreme.
long days.
At the summer solstice, it's weird. Yeah, it will be light when you go to sleep, and it will be light when you wake up
That's
during
crazy.
during that period of time, and it's starting to get there already in April. Um, and I can't help but say that I prefer the um, the winter with the darkness.
It's kind of cool because it's like it's pretty much dark here already.
It looks kind of bright over your right
No,
shoulder.
that's because I'm in a room with a lamp on. But
Oh,
like
okay.
the outside, I'm looking outside, like right in front of me, and it's pretty much dark here already.
Yeah. I don't know if that really helps to move the curtain aside, but I would say I might still be able to see the sun. But I'll tell you what, in 2 months, in 3 months, I will be able to see the sun for another hour and a half for sure.
Wow,
Yeah,
you could do some serious gardening.
that's true. That's true. I have a list of priorities, and that's not at the top of my priorities yet, unfortunately. But yeah, I'm focused on getting the back porch rebuilt and the roof replaced, and that's a
It's
really
gonna go metal.
hopefully, Lord willing. Right now, it's not in my hands. So um,
It's clearly not. Your hands are pretty empty right
what's that?
now.
Oh, I'm
Me and the
not
dead.
I'm not on the roof and stuff. Yeah. Well, I'm just
Yeah,
saying, like, I need it done
next winter, I would assume.
before May of 2023, or they will discontinue my uh, house insurance.
Yeah,
But the problem is that pretty much means I have to do it this year, and I have to do it pretty late in the season because I can't afford to do it yet. Basically, it, it
yeah,
it's tricky. Thankfully, or hopefully I'll be able to use the deductible because that we had a windstorm and all that stuff that threw about 100 pounds of shingles onto the ground.
oh boy,
Yeah, it's an old roof. So,
makes sense.
but
But if you
anyway,
have the option to go metal, I would recommend it because it holds up for forever.
here's my big question. My answer is engineer, but I don't know if that's the best answer. Who's the best person to seek out to find out whether or not your foundation is what your prognosis is for your foundation? Like you've got 6 months to live, right? You've got 4 years, you've got 10 years, you've got any day now your house is going to crumble. Who's the person that's going to be able to look at the foundation of the home and go, here's your prognosis? Who is that? Is it an engineer,
I would assume it's some sort of an engineer, because an
architectural engineer?
architect isn't. Yeah, it's more a.
Because I feel like I'm going to have to pay a couple hundred
It's not an
dollars.
architectural engineer. It would be a. There's a.
A concrete
It's
guy?
not a mechanical engineer. It's like a field engineer. I'm not.
A,
It is a type
it,
of engineer.
it wouldn't be a housing inspector, right? They
No.
wouldn't know for sure. I want to find out who it is and how much it's going to cost to get an answer as close to reality as possible. Um, yeah, home inspector showed up in the chat. I don't think it's the home inspector though. I want to know who's so familiar, and it would probably be a concrete worker that builds foundations and rebuilds foundations, and obviously they'd be biased. They'd be like, yeah, this needs replaced immediately, and I'd be like, yeah, well, I don't have $80,000 to replace a foundation, or whatever it is.
Whatever the case is.
I know it's insane. It'd
Well,
probably
yeah, because they have to balloon the house up and then basically remove the old foundation, put a new
yes,
foundation, and then lower the house back onto it.
it's a nightmare. Um, so anyway, I would like to know, because the reason that's important is it helps me understand how I need to invest into this house, basically. Because why put a 10, 15, $20,000 roof on a house that has 2 years left? If the house might have 10, 20, 30 years left, it might make sense, but otherwise, would it really make sense? Is the point I'm trying to make.
Yeah. Structural engineer. That's what you're looking for.
Structural engineer, yeah. And it's going to cost some money to get somebody to drive all the way out here into Africa, Timbuktu. I live in Timbuktu. Did you see my high and tight? Here, I'll take my.
Yeah. I've been eyeballing it for a while.
I did that myself.
Very nice. Crafty.
Um,
I didn't do mine myself.
Timbuktu is in Mali. I didn't remember that, but Timbuktu is in Mali, Africa. It's pretty funny. But yeah, this stream took a dive. Shadow Mind Bear, thank you. Very clean. I appreciate that. Um, it
Did
is
your viewership take a nosedive after we started talking about houses?
not really. It stayed at 3, which is
No.
higher than any stream I've had, I think, this year. Um, I've been trying to stay consistent on Thursday nights. There's been a handful of Thursday nights. There was almost a month where I was off because I got some type of persistent immune system compromise, where I was having like headaches and fevers and sinus issues and whatever the case. Um, whatever the case, our whole
That's
family,
basically why I missed the first 2 weeks of the month that I missed.
yeah, our
Because
whole
I was
family
just
went through this thing. Um, I don't know what it was, but it was something.
well, I don't know what it was either, but it wasn't COVID. So
Yeah, I wouldn't know. I did. of course, get tested for that thing when I was in the hospital last summer. Uh,
Yeah,
um, it tested twice. Just double checking. Yes, twice. Rapid test and a simple test and the other better test. So the two different tests I
sure.
had, only those two times, and that was it. And both times negative, which I don't know. Um, I don't know. It's kind of
Well, I
weird.
can tell you one thing: either the rapid tests all say negative, or I just don't ever have COVID. So, because I have to take them at work. So,
Uh, it's aggravating.
but it's for specific reason because not everybody at my work has to take them. I'll put it that way.
Yeah, I understand. Yeah, I know what you mean. Dr. Sam Bailey, YouTube channel, Odyssey, maybe other platforms too, did a recent video that was really enlightening about the tobacco mosaic virus. I highly recommend that video and other related
Tobacco
material.
mosaic virus.
Yep. Um, Everything with the letter V on that topic has a very fascinating background, and that has been my conclusion is that there is absolutely something up with that topic, and I can't say anything definitive with or without YouTube terms of service or community guidelines. Um, I don't have any conclusions for sure.
So is it a separate virus? Like what? Or is it like a code name for something?
No, no, no. The tobacco mosaic. Let me just double check I might have the name of that wrong. Mosaic, but I think that's what it's called. Yeah, the tobacco mosaic virus (TMV). Um, First discovered over a century ago and was the first virus ever purified.
Hmm.
I'm doing the quote signs for anybody not
Sure.
seeing what I'm doing. Um, and she addresses this topic in moderate detail, and I just really appreciate that New Zealander that does a really great job on these topics.
Interesting. I'll have to check that out.
Yep, yep, yep. Well, it is 8:30. Not that
Yep.
that's
I was just
particularly
about to say the
late,
same thing.
but I think that we've kind of hit a wall on topics this time. I'll try to be more planned next time you plan on joining me.
Well, I want to try to do it as often as possible on Thursdays. Now that I have my weekly Thursday, maybe we can discuss throughout the week what a fun topic would be or something. I don't know.
Cool, yeah. The other thing I wanted to share that I've been sharing with people is I have a new code, and I think it'd be fun to popularize. It's called the Hokey Pokey. It's the dance that you learn. You put your left hand in, you put your right hand in, you put your left foot in, you put your right foot in, and you shake it all about. Um, and the hokey pokey obviously is a euphemism.
It's for the Zelenskyites.
No, it's not for Zelensky. It's for if you're trying to get into a concert, they want to see that you can dance the hokey pokey. If you want to get
Sure,
into
sure.
a restaurant, they want to see that you can dance it in certain cities, not anywhere around here where I live, but in certain places, they want
And a
you to
lot of and a lot of the rather blue community.
they want you to dance in order to get into a facility. It's awkward. It's just awkward.
Hmm.
So the hokey pokey is my new um, metaphor, euphemism. And
I connected the dots fairly quickly on
yeah,
this.
I just wanted to share that with everybody. But for now,
That's fine.
I'm gonna
Fine.
go
I
ahead
like it.
and we can wrap it up.
Well, I'm gonna be cutting some trees tomorrow, so if you want to be in prayer for me so that I don't end up with a chainsaw in my guts or something, that'd be great.
No chainsaw and guts, no trees on the head. Amen.
Yep, that's gonna happen. So
Not the tree on the head thing.
no. The not tree on the head.
Yeah, gotcha.
Yeah.
Good
So
stuff.
all right, man. Well, it's been fun hanging out with you.
Yeah. God bless you, and God bless all of you people that stuck with this silly conversation.
Absolutely. I appreciate it. Thanks for sticking with our dad jokes and humor the whole time. We think we're funny, but we're probably not. So
We'll see you next time.
see ya.
And follow Yahweh, not y'all's way.